Hi everyone, hope you're all doing good. Okay, so this is the third round draw for the 35th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard Game. In this round, we have 10 people left. We'll just quickly run through those names, see who those 10 people are, or remind ourselves who they are anyway. They are C. Collins 44, El Guapo, Foghorn Sam, Great, Mule Floyd, Shat, Tosh, Trail, Trig, and ex-con Chris. Okay, so they're the 10 in this round, and for this next round, we have excuse me, we have UFC 326, a long overdue rematch between Max Holloway and Charles Oliveira. They had their rematch back in 2015, I think it was, off the top of my head. Holloway won due to Oliveira getting injured, although given that was featherweight and it was over a decade ago, I don't think that really has much bearing on how the fight plays out this time around. But uh, as for recent form, anyway, they've completely different stages of their careers compared to back then. Um, Holloway, of course, is coming off of the unanimous decision win against Dustin Poirier last time, and had quite a few great knockouts since then. Obviously, Gaethje comes to mind, and Korean Zombie as well. But for Charles, again, he's in a completely different place in his life and career since those 10 years ago. But especially after becoming champion, but uh, obviously it's not the case for either of them at the moment. But he what got that rear naked choke against Mateus Gamrot last time, and that's his main threat. Obviously, it's just a question of what's going to come out on top: Holloway's striking or Oliveira's ground game. And for me, I'm going to side with Max Holloway's striking. I think he'll find the win in the later stages of the fight. I've gone with a fourth round knockout, but anyway, you'll have to wait and see. And you're not here to listen to me rambling. I've got my voice back a little bit now, still a bit weak, but feeling a lot better now. Feeling ready to ramble, so there will inevitably be some rambling. Uh, or certainly more compared to the last couple of videos, anyway. So, those of you who love it, that's great. You're going to be getting more of my nonsensical rambles, and those of you who hate it, well, I'm sure you make up the majority, but you're just going to have to put up with it. But anyway, let's get on with the draw, shall we? First up is C. Collins 44. Let's see who C. Collins 44 will be paired with. He gets Jesus Aguilar. Jesus Aguilar there for C. Collins 44. Probably not spelled that one right, but or pronounced it right. Apologies if I haven't. But overall, I think it's a good pick. This one, I think he's an underdog for some reason against Sumo Dereji, which again I know I've butchered that name. Apologies to both fighters. And but yeah, Aguilar he looks mainly for subs. And oh, excuse me. I say very dangerous on the ground. That seems to be his strength, and that seems to be a particular weakness of Suma Dereji, who's got six losses in his career by submission. So I'm surprised that in terms of the betting odds, Aguilar is the slight underdog here. But and especially seeing that he's has, in my opinion, a slightly better career in the UFC so far, 4-2 compared to Sima Derechi's 5-4 in the UFC. But Seems already a little bit more experienced. Maybe that's what's making him the slight favourite. I don't think he should be the favourite. I think Jesus Aguilar's a live dog here. Okay, so now we move on to El Guapo. Let's see who El Guapo is going to be paired with. And one of the co-main eventers, Renier de Ridder. Renier de Ridder there for El Guapo. And he's up against Cal Baralho. And de Ridder obviously looking to bounce back from his loss against Brendan Allen in his last fights by knockout. And again, similar to Aguila, his main threats are submissions. Obviously showed that over in one championship, but he's had a decent start to his tenure in the UFC. But obviously Brendan Allen set him back a little bit. So we'll see who how he does against Cal Baralho, which to be honest, I'd say is a similar sort of level to Brendan Allen. So I wouldn't say this is the UFC are making Derrida fight down at all as a result of the loss. Allen's much more of a finishing threat, but I think Baralho's again flying under the radar in terms of his knockout power. I think Baralho could actually find a knockout win here in the later stages by a third round knockout. As because he's quietly amassed himself a 7-1 UFC record. Um, he's I think he's going to be a problem in the middleweight division. Yeah, I mean he is at the moment, but I just don't really see many people discussing his name in, as a serious contender compared to some of the other names that get trotted around quite a lot up at the middleweight. But yeah, I think Derrida's going to be in for a challenge here, and I think he could have another uh back-to-back loss here. So obviously El Guapo is going to help. Hope I'm wrong, but I just don't see it happening unless Derrida manages to get a sub in early. But I think Baraujo should be able to fend off any threats Derrida poses from that point of view. Right, Foghorn Sam next to learn who he's going to be rooting for. Let's see who Foghorn Sam gets. He gets Ricky Turquoise. Ricky Turquoise then for Foghorn Sam. Turquoise. I absolutely butchered that name. Turquoise. 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 Um, all I do know is I got his opponent Alberto Montes to win by decision for my prediction for this one. Uh, Turcos has had a bit of a rough start to the UFC, 2-3 in the promotion. Um, when he does win, he usually goes the distance. He's got a fairly safe style of fighting, and when it works, it does work really well. But it's never guaranteed to work, and I think his recent record reflects that. Um, I think for Alberto Montes, though, this is his UFC debut, and he's got enough stamina that he can last the full 15 minutes if it goes that way. But he's much more active submission specialist than Ricky Taquar is, and that's what he's going to be looking for throughout the fight. He's going to be looking to end it whenever he can, but I think Turkios is going to be. I think he's going to be tough enough to fend off most of the attacks. Experienced enough as well to keep Montez at bay, but I think overall though he will just be spending a lot of the fight defending, which of course won't look good for the judges. So a decision win for Montez for me for that one. Very great neck. Let's see who Great is going to be paired with. What the fuck have I done here? Yeah, I need to go back onto this screen. There we go. Let's see who Great will be cheering for. He gets Luke Fernandez. Luke Fernandez, therefore, Great. Opening up the cards, undefeated prospect Luke Fernandez versus Rodolfo Bellato, who, well, Bellato's fights are always unpredictable, aren't they? Um, Fernandez, obviously, as I say, 6-0. Usually looks for his first round knockout. Usually gets them. Obviously, it's a different thing whether you knock all your opponents out cold in the regionals. Then can you still do that when you step up to the UFC? That's what we're going to find out. But I think he can. Excuse me. All right. But maybe not first round, but definitely by second round. I'd say at least. Um, as for Bellato, he's got what I'd consider to be the perfect UFC record. It's kind of a shame that it's going to change one way or another here because he's 12-3-1 and one no contest in his whole career. But with the UFC specifically, he's got one win, one loss, one draw, and one no contest. 1-1-1-1. Very rare record. I can't think of any other fighter that's ever done that in the promotion. And like I say, it's a shame that regardless of the result, even if it's another no contest, that's gonna change. But I suppose it's inevitable, and I think it's going to change with another L added to that record. Obviously, Great is going to be hoping my prediction comes true uh, tomorrow night in that fight. Won't have to wait long for it anyway. So, say opening up the prelims for us. Okay, Mule Floyd is next to see who's going to be representing him in the octagon tomorrow night. Let's see who he'll get. Oh, and it's first head to head there, Rodolfo Bellato. Uh, um, Rodolfo Bellato there for Mule Floyd. Oh, it's guess I have to play devil's advocate now, and to his credit, Bellato is very active. When he is in the cage. He's always looking to finish the fight. He's always looking for knockouts. He's always looking for subs. Um, Fernandez, I've no doubt, is going to be bringing the heat with the looking for another early knockout. But the interesting thing with Fernandez, he's not really been tested on the ground yet, and because so far in his career, he's not had a single win or loss by submission. I mean, obviously for the losses, he hasn't lost at all, but he's never won by sub either. So it's maybe that's a part of his game plan he's been neglecting a little bit. He might be, who knows, maybe Bellato might get him into a submission attempt, and that's going to be a part of his game he exploits, so exposes as a major weakness. So it can happen with new UFC prospects, but I was still thinking that the knockout is more likely to come from Hernandez than a submission is from Bellato. But if Bellato is going to get a win, it will be by submission, I'd have thought. But yeah, overall, still going with Luke Hernandez for this one. Okay, Shat next to face the wheel. Let's see who Shat is going to be paired with. And Shat gets one of my favorite fighters, Gregory Rodriguez. Gregory Rodriguez there. for Shat. And um, yeah, I'll have to admit, it's part of the reason he's one of my favorite fighters. Is one of my guilty pleasures in MMA is the as Jorge Masvidal would put it, the super necessary shots while a fighter's out. It is a guilty pleasure. It shouldn't happen because obviously an unconscious opponent shouldn't take more damage than necessary. But there's just something visual about it that is just yeah, it's just uh you don't get that in any other sports. It just getting knocked out and then having a follow-up shot like um Henderson versus Bisping, of course, is the one that always gets referenced, the H bomb. Um, then of course you got Rodriguez who did that. Can't think of the name off the top of my head. Who was it that he knocked out when he did that absolutely unnecessary follow-up shot? He literally walked over to his flattened opponent and just casually dropped another hammer fist down onto him for no reason. Which again, not necessary, but yeah, like I say, it's just a guilty pleasure of mine. I can't quite put a finger on it, but I suppose to enjoy MMA, you have to admit on some level you are a bit of a degenerate. I suppose, don't you? You have to admit that there's something there's something about you that craves unnecessary violence. Otherwise, you wouldn't tune into this stuff at all. We're all a little bit sick, I suppose. Anyway, um, and don't even get me started on Usamir Harris. Another one of my favourites for all the wrong reasons. But anyway, having said that, it's right. Gregory Rodriguez, first round knockouts. My prediction, obviously up against Bruno Ferreira, and Rodriguez. He's established himself firmly in the middleweight division by now, 9-3 in the UFC. Um, Again, as I say, it's not much more to it other than he's looks for knockouts, usually gets them early, and if you are out, that's not necessarily the end of the fight, as far as Rodriguez is concerned. Bruno Ferreira, again, he's got off to a decent start in his UFC career. It's fairly established now, 8 fights in, 6-2 record in the UFC, and again, a similar kind of fighter, looks for early knockouts and. I suppose he's a little bit more well-rounded in the sense that he does have a few first-round submissions to his name too. So I suppose it's possible that if Ferreira is to win the fight, submissions would be the path of least resistance for him. But for me, I'm still going with Gregory Rodriguez. That the knockout power, even when he doesn't do unnecessary shit, is just insane. So I'm never gonna rule out a fighter that's got that kind of power. So I think Shat's got a decent chance of getting through in this round. Okay, so next is Tosh. Let's see who Tosh is going to be paired with. And Tosh gets Raul Rosas Jr. Raul Rosas Jr. for Tosh there. And in, I suppose, the tertiary main events, the third one down from the top, he finds himself in a fight against Rob Font. And um, when Raul Jr. first lost against Christian Rodriguez, I had some. There was a little part of me that was wondering how he'd bounce back from that loss, given he was such a massively high prospect. He still is a massively high prospect, but especially before that loss. And fair play to him. He's responded brilliantly. He's been winning his fights and some of them in a more cautious manner. It is noted, but I think that's he's been getting a bit of criticism from online, particularly I've seen from his fights that have gone the distance. It's some are saying he's got a more boring style now. I suppose that's true, but that's part of him evolving as a fighter. I say he's becoming a better fighter because of that. So, if uh, if going the distance is something we see more of from him, if that's what gets him uh the results, that because I believe he's still chasing that record of becoming the youngest UFC champion. I think John Jones currently holds that record at 21 years. How old is Rosas Jr.? He's got to be like 18 or 19 now, so he's still got a bit of time on his side. Um, but anyway, against Rob Font, I can see him beating Rob Font because Rob Font, obviously legend of the sport, UFC veteran, he's 20 fights in the UFC, 12 and 8 records. Uh, most of his fights in his career have been in the UFC, 22 and 9 in his career overall. But he is a little bit past his prime now, and it's getting to the stage where he's falling into the sort of veteran role of being fed to up and comers. His last fight against David Martinez, I'll say, is an example of that. Lost a unanimous decision, and I can't see Rob Font being finished. He's most of his losses have come by decision, and he's a very, very tough fighter to finish. And maybe the original version of Rosas Jr. we saw when he was a lot more aggressive in his style might have finished Rob Font if Font was having a bad night, perhaps. But I see Rosas Jr. winning very easily, but not by finish. I think it's going to be absolute domination for 3 rounds, and come the end of those 3 rounds, I think it will be Raul Rosas Jr. getting his hand raised at the expense of the veteran, but not before the veteran Rob Font puts up a very brave fight and a very tough fight. It shows why he's still here in the UFC after all these years. But I think Tosh has got a great chance of getting through. Okay, next is Trail. Let's see who Trail is going to be matched with. And Trail gets Cody Durden. Cody Durden for Trail there. Uh, oh boy, he's sure I'm going to have to try pronouncing the name of his opponent now, aren't I? Cody Durden, obviously in a fight against Nayam Jargal Tu Mendeberel. Uh, I apologize because I know I've absolutely butchered his name there. So I'm just going to call him Niam uh, for short. Uh, but anyway, I've got Niam to win by first round submission. Simply because I just rate him as the better fighter. Quite simple. You don't see much of him in the UFC, and he's still a bit green in his MMA career, 9-1. But from what we've seen of him, very dangerous on the ground. He does have KO power as well to back it up as well. So it's not if it's a case of if he's forced into a standing contest, he's screwed. He has other options, but he will try and take it to the ground where possible. Um, most of his fights have finished inside the scheduled distance, and because of that, I suppose he doesn't really have too much experience going the distance. Certainly not compared to uh, someone like Durden who has gone the distance a few more times. But even Durden, though, again, uh, he's got a habit of finishing fights quite early himself. So I don't think he'll be looking to win that way via the scorecards. But I think Durden's going to go out there and he's going to be uh, looking for early knockouts or submissions. He's very capable of both. neither seem to bother him, but um, he does have a little tendency to fall victim to submission. So if it's a case of submission defense, not his strongest point, is and when you're fighting someone like Niam, who that's their speciality, this is just a bad stylistic matchup for Cody Durden. So um, I think Trail's going to need to make some kind of sacrifice to get Cody Durden through tomorrow night. But who knows? Maybe this veteran can uh, put a rising prospect in his place. Who knows? But best of luck with that one. Okay, down to the last two now. Trick is next face the wheel. Go back to the wheel and let's see who Trick is going to be matched with. Uh, he gets Bruno Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira there for Bruno Ferreira for I'm gonna butcher the spelling of that one. Ferreira. Bruno Ferreira for Trick there. Obviously um up against Shat with Gregory Rodriguez, who I mentioned earlier. First round knockout by first round knockout by Rodriguez is my prediction for this one. Uh, for Rodriguez, so I suppose there's not really much to talk about in terms of the fight, given I've already gone over it. But I suppose in terms of a Lucky Bastard Game main event, that's sort of going to be our well, one of our main events because obviously at the bottom we've got Rodolfo Bellato versus Luke Fernandez, and which is of course great with Luke Fernandez versus Mil Floyd with Rodolfo Bellato, and because of this we've now got a second head-to-head in the game. So yeah, it'll be Trig directly up against Shat. So Shat with Gregory Rodriguez, Trig with Bruno Ferreira. Best of luck to you both, and may the best man win. Same for the uh same for the Mule Floyds and great fight as well. That's supposing nobody else gets added to either of the fight or the well, ex-con Chris is the only one to go now, unless he gets added to any of those. So I suppose he'll so that'll give you something to debate about in the thread, won't it? What's the main event, the unofficial Lucky Bastard Game main event? Is it Gregory Rodriguez versus Bruno Ferreira? Or is it Luke Fernandez versus Rodolfo Bellato? But anyway, um, last but not least, ex-con Chris. Let's see who ex-con Chris is going to be cheering for tomorrow night. Let's see if he ends up in that permutation of any of those fights. Nobody gets Cody Durden. Cody Durden there for ex-con Chris. Someone else had Durden, didn't they? Who else was it? It was Trail just a few moments ago. Um, and as I was saying about that, it's Durden, obviously the veteran, but I feel like he does tend to struggle with submission specialists, and that's exactly what he's up against tomorrow night. So in Niam, uh, so yeah, I think he's gonna. I think XCOM Chris is gonna need a bit of luck with this one, but that's two on the side of. I suppose you can make an argument that's the main event, given that two people could be going out or through. Uh, 2v nobody in that one, but I, I, I think unfortunately it will be Cody Durden losing that one tomorrow night. Okay, so that completes the third round draw for the 35th edition of the Tapology Lucky Bastard game. Uh, My voice just about held out for that. We'll just run through the names one more time just to remind ourselves now. So we've got C. Collins 44 with Jesus Aguilar, El Guapo with Rene de Ridder, Falcon Sam with Ricky Turquoise, Great with Luke Fernandez, Mule Floyd with Rodolfo Bellato, Shat with Gregory Rodriguez, Tosh with Raul Rosas Jr., Trail with Cody Durden, Trick with Bruno Ferreira, and Ex-Con Chris with Cody Durden. So, interesting mix there, and I feel like, at least until the end, there, we're getting quite a bit of a spread. We weren't getting too many double ups. I think Cody Durden's the only actual double up in it. Obviously, we've got those two fights that have head to heads, two head to heads, but I think, yeah, I think Cody Durden was the only one that came up twice there. So a bit of pressure there on Cody's shoulders for tomorrow night, but I guess all that leaves me to say is obviously best of luck to all of you, and obviously if you've got any bets on this card, best of luck with those. But of course, best of luck with your picks on Tapology. But until next time, so long for now.